Hey guys, I reached out a couple of days ago asking for assumptions about me. I've been seeing these videos in my feed a little bit here and there. Who did I watch? I watched Anna Saccone, Jolie. I don't know how to say her last name. I'm saying it like that famous actress who I cannot remember her name now. Anyway, and also Christina Brawley. I saw they did it, and then I like YouTube searched it, and it's like what all the cool hip YouTube kids are doing, you know. I never do stuff like this that's like with the trend or whatever. Like, you're never gonna see a picture of my butt in a thumbnail as clickbait. It's just not gonna happen. But I thought this was kind of interesting, and since I've been on this wave of sharing a lot of really personal stuff so far this year, I thought, well, why not? I know there are probably some assumptions about me that are spot on and some that are way off, just like with anybody. I think when you follow somebody online, especially somebody like me who shares a lot of personal details, I've been online for 9 years almost, and I've shared a lot of personal details and personal stuff along the way, so you can piece together quite a bit about me, but you can never really fully know a person. I truly believe you can never really fully know anybody but yourself, and even that is a lifelong journey of discovering. Getting a little deep here, but there's always things you don't know about anybody, and anybody online too. That includes online. So I have quite a few. I have not read through them, so I'm going to try to, oh my gosh, there's a lot. I'm going to try to pick kind of the more popular ones, or the kind of more interesting, or you know, whatever topics, and we'll go from there. Right off the bat, I see the first one says that you are against feminism. Well, that's a big can of worms to open right off the bat. I would say that I am absolutely not against feminism. I think the definition of feminism is changing and has been changing over the course of human history, and I think sometimes people can get stuck in a previous generation's definition of that, whereas it is an evolving, growing thing, like many things. But I think feminism is a really interesting, it's really interesting to follow from like an anthropological point of view, but also historical, like socially historical, politically historical. I would consider myself a modern day feminist in terms of my thinking. The way that I view the world and view myself in the world as a woman in this world, and view the women in this world around me, I would definitely consider myself a modern day feminist. That doesn't mean I'm an activist. That doesn't mean I'm a very verbally outright advocator, but just because I'm not those things doesn't make me a feminist. Not a feminist. That was a lot of double negatives there. What I'm trying to say in short is I do support fully, wholeheartedly, women in all situations across the world. I'm always thinking about this, always on my mind. It's part of my experience naturally as a woman, and I'm definitely not old-fashioned or patriarchal in my beliefs. Regardless of what my life situation might look like on the outside, I really am not. So right off the bat, go right into it. Oh, the second one I see, your house is always neat and clean. No, false. False. I would say it's clean for the most part. I would say it's like between 80 to 90% what somebody would consider like clean on any given day. Neat, I would say somewhere between 50 to 75% neat by my standards. I am a neatnik, so I probably have pretty high standards. I tidy constantly. It is something that I just do naturally. I like to live in a tidy-ish place, but I definitely have places of clutter. There are things I'm still working on. My goodness, let's just say it. The mudroom. We had the mudroom renovated 2 years ago, and I still haven't fully organized it. Is it neat? Kind of. Is it clean? Yes. Is it how I want it to be, like completely tidy? No. And it's been 2 years, so like get on that boat, Jen. But yeah, things are not always neat and clean. I would say that because I have that personality, I tend to put a lot of my kind of daily efforts into keeping things at least mostly neat and tidy, but it's definitely not always. You are such a loving mother and wife. Oh, that's sweet. I do try. I do try. Love is the most important thing ever to me, so I do try. That you are always happy and life is sunny. I'm definitely not always happy and life is not always sunny. I struggle like anybody else. Things pop up now and then, or sometimes more often, that get me down, but I definitely work very consciously and intentionally on positivity and having a positive outlook, especially with little kids around. Not that I don't honor the variety of feelings that anybody can have on a given day. I talked in my anxiety video about struggling with that in the past, but now, especially with children, I want to honor all of their feelings and teach them that it's okay to have both happy and joyful and sunny feelings, but also you're gonna have some cloudy days and things are gonna be tough and you're gonna be annoyed or upset or sad or whatever. But I do think it's important, especially with little ones, for me to have a sunny outlook for the most part. And I do like to look at the bright side of things whenever I can, because that keeps me grounded in a very positive mental place. It's a balancing act, right? Trying to honor your feelings, whatever they are, and experience them and not shove anything down just because you don't think you should be experiencing it, but also just not let yourself dwell. I'm talking about me, not you. Not let myself dwell in things for longer than necessary, which can become a bad habit for me, at least historically. So things are not always awesome, but I do try to accept those feelings, honor them, work through them, and then move on so I can be happy most of the time and have a sunny, positive outlook. You love Disney. Absolutely. Spot on with that one. I am a Disney fanatic. Well, I just love everything that Disney kind of I should say, what Disney represents to me is finding magic, following your dreams, believing in yourself, all that good stuff. And it's just, for me, it's pure magic. It's pure magic. Doesn't watch reality TV. Correct, I do not. I do not watch reality. I really don't watch any TV. Lately, we've been catching up a little bit on Doctor Who, Donna and I, but we only watch it like one episode a week or something, or two maybe. I don't watch a lot of TV. If I'm gonna watch something, I'm gonna watch YouTube, because that's my TV of choice. Oh, a couple questions about kids and babies and all of that. Okay, so I'm gonna answer this one. For a long time, you weren't sure that you ever wanted to have children. I would say that is false. I would say I always, from the get-go, for as long as I can remember, wanted to have kids, wanted to have a family, wanted to be a mommy. I wouldn't say it was my priority for a very long time. I actually prioritized being married over having a family for a lot of my teenage years, but having a family was always part of that plan. It did take me a while to get to the point where I felt ready to have children. And a lot of that, again, plays into my journey with anxiety. I wanted to feel like I could be okay and take care of myself well enough to be able to take care of others first. So I think there's a common misconception about why we waited so long to have kids, and then it did take me a few years to successfully conceive, but it wasn't because I didn't want children. I definitely wanted children, but I wanted to have children when I felt stable and healthy enough to, for me, by my own standards. I didn't want the primary years of my children's lives, like the beginning years of their lives, to be framed by my anxiety, my own dealing with anxiety. And I'm really glad that things unfolded how they did. Would I have liked to get pregnant right when I started trying? Yes, but that's not what happened. And it all worked out in the end. I'm extremely happy with the timing and how things worked out with our family, and it just feels really right. So there's that. Let's see. I assume you never had a job. I definitely had jobs as a youth. I did. I worked as a summer camp counselor. I worked in retail for a couple of years. So those were the only jobs I had. Maybe those are the only jobs I had. I did do a little bit of volunteer work here and there in my early 20s, but no, I never had like a really good long-term job. And it's something that, in retrospect, I don't like regret not doing that, but going back and giving advice to my younger self, I would have encouraged myself as a college graduate and a newlywed in my early 20s to go out and find a job, a job for myself. I talked about this in my anxiety video, but I didn't. I let my anxiety kind of dictate how I lived my life for most of my 20s, and it kept me away from opportunities like that. So I have worked, and I babysat a lot as a teenager, but I don't know, does that count? I babysat a lot. But anyway, let's see, a couple questions about arguing with Don, that Don and I never fight, that we never argue. That is untrue. If you've been in any relationship with anybody, I'm sorry, like an intimate relationship or even like a family relationship, friendship, you have disagreements sometimes. Don and I are both very like anti-confrontational personalities, but we definitely have disagreements. We have our little tiffs. Especially, I feel like more, I wouldn't say a lot, but a little bit more so since having kids. There's just a little bit more opportunity for miscommunication since we both have different parenting styles. Luckily, our parenting morals, sorry, my phone locked. Our parenting morals align, which is really helpful in a parenting partnership. But, we're different people. We have different personalities. And of course, we're going to parent situations in different ways. And so sometimes there's some miscommunication about that. And that can lead to some little tiffs and things. But nobody's like screaming or slamming doors or sleeping on the couch or anything. I don't think anybody's ever done that. Not intentionally. Don sometimes falls asleep on the couch accidentally watching sports, but I'm not sure I know a man at 35 who doesn't. Oh, there's some really sweet comments here. That you helped me through one of the most anxious times of my life by sharing your journey, that you are genuinely a good person, kind to everyone. Oh, this is just some really nice things too. I assume you're not thanked enough for sharing your metamorphic beauty with us. You guys are so sweet. Okay, here's an interesting one. I assume that you being on YouTube has caused arguments between your family and or Don. No. I'm trying to think. No. My family has been extremely supportive and accepting of my decision to be on the internet in a public sort of way, and especially Don. I think I get this vibe that people think he really doesn't like being on camera, that he doesn't like that I am on camera. You guys, I would say he really has no opinion on it at all. Yeah, I would say he absolutely does not care. If you asked him about it, he'd be just surprised at the question. He'd be like, what do you mean? So that's a good one too. Lots of questions about money. That we're very wealthy, that we have a lot of disposable income, that we're very well off, blah, blah, blah. Look, I think it's very personal to talk about money stuff. Don and I are very blessed in our situation. Don has worked his tail off since before he took a year off between high school and college, and that's when he started his first job. And he quickly climbed the ladder in that company to being a very successful trader at a very young age. And he worked throughout college. He did college full-time and worked part-time, like full part-time hours. And he was very successful in what he did. And I'm very, very proud of him. Don is very bright and very talented at what he does. He has an excellent mind for finance, and he has done well, and it is a blessing. I think there's this misconception that we're wealthier than we are, but we are very comfortable. We save a lot. Saving is really important, really important. And we definitely stay well within our budget. I think it's important to understand how much money you have and how much you comfortably can make, and only spend within your limits. This is something that Donna has known forever. It took me a while to learn. I definitely had some bad shopping habits in my 20s, also related to anxiety, which I've thankfully moved away from, both things. You know, we've always been careful to only buy a house we can afford. We don't have a mortgage. Don paid that mortgage off a few years ago. We own our house free and clear. We don't have any debt. We do lease our cars, so I guess you can consider that debt, but that is only because we both enjoy getting new cars every 3 years, and just financially it makes some sense that way. Again, we just don't spend more than we have, and we save well more than we spend. So I just think that that helps with long-term, why is my phone keep turning off? That just helps with long-term strategies with money, and just making sure that things are sustainable, because you never know when things can change. Don has shifted careers several times, and there's been a couple of moments here or there where he's in between careers, and we've never had to panic because we have a nice cushion of savings, and not a lot of we don't have bills we can't pay. We don't buy anything we can't afford. I know that is a luxury for some. Some people need to buy food that they can't afford, and it breaks my heart that is the situation for some people. But you know, you just gotta save what you can, and budgeting is very, very important. And I really encourage you to go check out Jen Plans, because she is the queen of budgeting. I will link her below. Oh, here's a good one, that you're either an only child or the eldest child. I am the youngest of two. My brother is almost 8 years older than me though, so for a big chunk of my childhood I basically was kind of like an only child, as my brother went off to college when I was just 10 years old. But I've always loved having a sibling. My brother's the best, and I mean, he lives in St. Louis, so he's not that far away, and we do get to see each other several times here, but I wish we lived in the same place because it would be so much fun. You're a Stepford wife. I know you bust your tail working, but that was my first impression of you. I think that's supposed to be like a negative assumption. I really don't think I fit the Stepford wife mold, you guys. I am way too snarky and cynical and like sarcastic. But maybe as a younger newlywed, I kind of fell into that role more. I mean, people get upset when I say YouTube is my work. Is it still upsetting? I feel like now, like, people are used to people saying that YouTube is their job. I do actually make an income from my efforts, and it is an effort. So it is what I consider my work, but it is also my hobby, my joy, my passion, and I do treat it more in that way. If it had to be more of an income thing, I would probably be more serious about it, and how I talk about it. But anyway, getting off track, of course. So I've been doing this YouTube thing for 9 years, and it's what I consider my job. Many people consider it a career. I don't know why I get in trouble for calling it my career. For some reason I do. But maybe not anymore. I don't know. Do people still get mad at me for saying that? I try not to say it too often because it just really upsets some people. But anyway, I do work at it. I put a lot of time and effort into it, but it's also a joy and a passion of mine. And I think if you can swing it, your work should be your passion. But anyway, I think maybe I kind of fit more the Stepford wife role before I started YouTube, but before I had work. I'm just gonna call it work. I'm sorry if that upsets you, but not anymore. You've never partied hard. And that's okay, just trying to help for the video. I would say I've never really partied hard in terms of, I've never really done drugs. I've never done, I've never done like clubbing, or I never did any of that scene. I was too anxious of a person to do any of that. And I've just always been terrified of drugs and what they do to your brain. But I did drink in not high school. I didn't drink at all in high school. I did drink a little bit in college, really just the first 2 years of my freshman year, and then kind of got really depressed and stopped doing that quite so much. But I definitely had some drunk moments. That really, freshman year is the only year I really remember myself, like, considering myself ever having partied. But I was always an academic, always put that first, never let any of that like social atmosphere affect my academics, and I definitely chose academics over social stuff throughout college. And then post-college, like, I never did the bar scene, like, ick. I mean, I don't mean to sound judgmental there. I say ick for me because that is just like my worst nightmare, going to a bar just to hang out. But I can see how other people would find it fun and pleasurable, you know, to do as a social thing. It's just not for me. That you are very patient with your kids. You're not quick to anger. I really try. I think patience is something that is top on my list of things that I constantly strive for as a parent, especially. Patience with myself, I have found since becoming a parent, is instrumental in kind of fueling my general patience with others. And this is not something that came easily to me, but it's something that being a parent has opened my eyes more to, and I'm definitely much kinder and gentler with myself because I find it makes me much kinder and gentler with everybody else. And I think that's kind of, I feel like that could be a common experience. People also don't like it when I make rash generalizations, so I try not to, but I feel like that could be a thing. That could be a thing. What do you guys think? Yes, I definitely have my moments of getting annoyed or frustrated or rushing or whatever, and I just feel like as I'm more patient with myself and learning more about that and taking care of myself better, that I'm getting so much better at handling those situations. Sometimes I sense myself flipping into that feeling now, and I can pull myself out of it. That's not to say that there are moments where I have to be a little bit sterner or more strict with my kids, because I think that is an important part for me, that's an important part of parenting, is to have firm boundaries. But I kind of like to take the Mary Poppins approach to parenting. Firm, but very kind. Anyway, that you're tall. No, sadly. I like to say I'm 5'4", but I'm really 5'3.5". So there's that. Oh, that you are a wonderful mother, calm, loving, nurturing. Thank you. That is kind of what I strive to be, and it definitely takes effort, sometimes more than not, but I try. Let's stay-at-home mama who finds it hard to make friends but takes comfort in family. Absolutely, 100%. Bang on there. That you're an absolutely lovely person in real life. I've thought this since the beginning. Oh, thank you. I hope I am. I'm still kind of recovering from years and years and years of self-doubt, but I am choosing to believe in recent years that I am that kind of person. And what you guys see from me on camera, this is as genuine as I get. This is more genuine than I am with anybody. You love living where you live because it snows. I do love the snow. It's actually snowing right now. I'm looking outside. If I could pick a place to, like, a dream place to live, it would be up in the mountains where I could get, like, real snow. And I just love being in mountains. But the reason I love living where I live is actually 100% because my family lives here. If my family wasn't here and Don was, could work from anywhere, I don't think we would live here. Not that Chicago isn't a great place, but I would totally live on top of a mountain. I've been seeing this a lot lately, that I have an eating disorder. I'm sorry, I don't mean to laugh because this is serious and I know a lot of people struggle with this. I do not have an eating disorder. I've never had an eating disorder. I've never had an issue with eating in that way. I definitely battled with emotional eating. I think a lot of people, especially women, can say the same. And by emotional eating, I mean like eating too many sweets. For me, it's sweets. For some people, it's salty stuff. For me, it's like chocolate. But in the last few years, I've been really cutting way back on sugar, and I've seen a lot of good, really good positive kind of mental benefits from that. And also just being, you know, just being more aware of what I'm eating and how my food fuels my body in terms of nutrition in the last year, especially since going plant-based. It's just made me think a lot more in that way. Instead of eating just for pleasure, I'm eating for fuel and for health. I don't think it means you have an eating disorder to consider your nutrition in that way. Do you know what I mean? I think it's actually a healthy way to think about eating for fuel. I think it's just this season in my life that I am really interested in feeding my body well and noticing how that affects me emotionally. In the past, when I was okay, story time. This is gonna be a long video. I don't know. I was thinking this was gonna be short. What was I thinking? This is gonna be a long video. When I was in high school, one of my best friends who I had met in middle school, we lived in the San Francisco Bay Area, and then, you know, I moved away from freshman year. We stayed really close for a very long time, and she's somebody that I really hope to reconnect with someday. Anyway, she went to boarding school for high school, and she developed a very severe anorexia. Very severe, to the point where she's hospitalized several times and had to she had to pause her education throughout high school and college because of this. And it scared the crap out of me. And I remember as a sophomore in high school going to visit her at her dorm in her boarding school. And like, I was there almost all day, and the only thing she ate was an apple. And she was just so thin and wasting away. And it scared me to death. And I did not, from that point on, until I graduated from college, I don't think I weighed myself. I made a very, very, very like conscious decision that I wasn't gonna get on the scale ever unless I was at the doctor, and I wasn't gonna obsess about numbers, and I wasn't gonna calorie restrict, I wasn't gonna diet, I wasn't gonna do any of that because that scared the crap out of me. We actually traveled in Europe together a little bit the summer after her freshman year of college, and that was like her first real recovery phase. She bounced back and forth a few times. She is fully recovered now, thank God. And she fully recovered several years after that, I would say. But she was just fresh off of her first real recovery phase. And we went to France and Italy and Switzerland together, and, you know, all through trains and stuff. And I remember we would have to walk up and down the streets looking for a restaurant that she would be okay eating at, and she would only eat the same thing at any restaurant, a very simple salad, but she would like pour over every menu for 5-10 minutes, and I would just stand there, you know, trying to be patient and supportive until she found the restaurant that she would go to, even though I knew she would order the same thing regardless. But I mean, that just compounded to me how important it was to not let myself go down that path, because honestly I could have gone down that path. There's a lot of I don't know a lot of people who've had eating disorders, but the people I know who have had eating disorders, for them it's about really like finding control in situations where they feel like they have very little to no control, and I definitely would have fit in that category with my experiences with anxiety and all that. So I was very, very conscious throughout my adolescence and early 20s of not letting myself go down that path, and I didn't. You were a nerd in high school, abso-frickin-lutely, and I still am. You're more comfortable around the camera than you are a bunch of people. I admire you for it. Well, thank you. And absolutely true, definitely. You have a Monica closet, like aka space that is disorganized, like Friends, like in the show Friends. I would say I have Monica areas of my house. Mudroom, definitely one of those. I mean, it's not like stacked full of stuff like her closet, but it's, you know, these are the places in my house basically I want to tackle that I've been putting off for years now. So mudroom, garage needs a really good once over. That's just like a stack of stuff to donate at the moment, really. But when it's warmer, I want to go through that. My office, I did a big clean out of, but it's got kind of a Monica corner. I think I showed it in a video, or I talked about it in a video at least. Just, again, stuff to donate, stuff for charity, stuff I'm kind of figuring out. Oh, and our storage room in the basement has just gotten really disorganized, mainly because I can't decide. I want to like go through and really clean out a lot of that stuff, a lot of my seasonal decor and stuff that I feel like I can let go of, that I don't, you know, see myself using, but I just haven't made the time for that yet. So definitely not completely organized in every area of my house. You don't get any sleep. I'm trying to get more sleep. I have been doing, since the new year, 7 hours a night, and I feel so much better. I was doing 5 hours a night in December. It was not enough. 7 hours seems to be a good sweet spot for me. So I definitely get sleep, and it is very important. I find it helps a lot with what I was talking about in terms of patience and positivity as well. You are not a cat person, or you have never had a cat of your own. I am totally a cat person, and it has been my dream since I was like 5 to have a cat. I've never had the privilege of having a cat. When I was a kid, I remember I kept asking and asking my parents for a cat. My mom had a cat when she was a newlywed in her early 20s, and they had a very special bond. And then the cat, and they had a Shih Tzu too, actually. Both of the animals unexpectedly died at very young ages, within a year of each other. And I think it really left a lasting mark on my mom, and she hasn't had a pet since, and that was a long time ago. This was before I was born. So I never had a cat as a kid. I remember I asked and asked and asked. My mom also knew. I was like 8 or 9. Oh no, I must have been 8, because I remember it was when we were moving Scott into college, and I kept asking for a cat. But I also really desperately wanted American Girl with doll at the time. I didn't have one yet. And my tricky mom, she was like, well, would you rather have a cat or American Girl doll? And I think even at 8 years old, I knew I was never getting the cat. So I just conceded and said I get the doll, and I got my Samantha doll, and everything was great. But I still wish I had a cat. The reason we haven't had a cat since, you know, even as a newlywed, we would go to Utah a lot, and especially I would go a lot more because I just loved being there, and I had a lot of free time because I didn't have kids or, you know, any responsibilities at all, really. And I just felt like I couldn't abandon a cat to go to Utah so much. And even now, it's the main reason we don't have a cat, because we go to our family home in Utah for a whole month in the summer and a few weeks in the winter, and I don't know. I do want a cat. It is on my list. I feel like I need to wrap this up. There's so many more, you guys. I didn't do so many. Oh my gosh. I only did half of them. I didn't even do half of them. I feel like I got through most of the... I see that I have answered most of these, actually. Well, here's the sweet one. I assume you'd be the type of incredible friend I've been searching for. I assume you're amazing. You guys are so sweet. Oh, here. The last one I will answer. You secretly want a third baby. Absolutely no. I have nothing against people with larger families. I think it's wonderful if that's your bag. It is not my bag. I am extremely satisfied with my family of 2, especially having a boy and a girl. My heart feels full. Our family puzzle feels complete. Both my husband and I agree that this is how it should be for us. And we are very, very satisfied with our family of 4 plus Winnie, our dog. If you didn't know who Winnie is, she's not around. Winnie, come here. You want to come be in the video? Winnie, come. Come here. Come in. Come say hello. Oh, come say hello. Here's Winnie. So another reason I don't have a cat is that Winnie is pretty much the dog equivalent of a cat. She naps most of the day and curls up on perches. So I basically have my cat and dog all in one. Okay, you guys, I better wrap it up here. Otherwise, it's going to be another hour-long video. Thank you so much for watching and sending in your assumptions. I hope this was entertaining or informative or something to you. And I will see you guys real soon. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care. Bye.